the diplomats. All right, so this is my game 2 of Weaselmoot 15, a game that ultimately meant nothing because tournament winner Umble joining us on the podcast ruined my first game, causing me to have to solo this game and hope that no one else soloed in order to win the tournament. Before I talk about this game, along with my good friend Umble, I'd like to thank diplomacybriefing.com for sponsoring us. So I must genuflect again to Umble, who edits or is the editor in chief or is emeritus, whatever, of the briefing. Why don't you tell us about diplomacybriefing.com?
Sure. Diplomacy Briefing is a weekly update for the hobby of diplomacy. It tells everything that's going on all the different sites, on the virtual community and the face-to-face community. We keep a calendar of just running events that are always going on, so you know where you can go and play and get some high-quality games. Talk about all the new developments in diplomacy. We put a new strategy article out every single week, and it's free. If you go to diplomacybriefing.com, you can sign up there. We also have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And with kind of what you said, we also have just a great team of seven people that work on these issues. And honestly, they do such a great job that now I basically only do special issues and some special initiatives. So we've got Karthik, Jens, Ian, John, Dave, Matthew, and they just all hit it out of the park. They do a great job.
Okay, yeah, well, definitely people should sign up. It is free, so they don't pay anything for this podcast. They should, but they don't. But in any event, let's talk about this game. I went in, I was not in a great mood uh, because, solos are rare events. I've done it one time this year in a tournament. Uh, but I saw who I was playing with and I thought, okay, I might have a chance knowing the players here a little bit. One is your name is drawn right to Liam. You and he have a storied history. I have a bit of a storied history with him as well, although we work together a lot and we fight each other a lot. We just had fought each other in the prior game, but I know I can talk to Liam and work with him. So I was very happy about that. Um, and then Melinda Holly was playing Turkey, who I know is an incredibly loyal ally if I wanted Turkey to be my ally. And I thought I could work with her if I needed to. I didn't know Daniel Bird, but he was a very enthusiastic player. Sounded like he knew what he was doing. Germany was the tournament leader. So Umble here was tied for second, but the tournament leader, 20 points ahead of Umble, was Sabia Huja. Uh, so I had my eye there on Sabi. England, I is Kevin O'Kelly was a substitute, but it was another player, Bona, is the person's name who turns out he was a teenager, but he sounded to me like he was in his 20s or 30s. I had no idea until later on that he was a teenager. And then Matt Sundstrom, well-known Chicago Weasel and inventor of the Sundstrom opening for Turkey, and who I learned is a very dangerous tactician in this game. Although I think even he would say he got a little lucky and made some mistakes as well. So I thought it was a good board, and just not to give a monologue here, but just so you understand my opening here, you can see me going to the black. My number one was to work with Liam. I was more than happy to do a little RAT at the beginning. Liam didn't want to do that. He wanted to do an AI. I wanted to keep Liam on board no matter what. And I was like, okay. Melinda in Turkey suggested to me to demilitarize the black in spring 1901. And I heard that and I agreed and I straight up lied to her. And, my theory is if you can get the black, you take the black. So I took the
Yeah.
black.
Yeah, let me just give my opinion on Turkey. Turkey has a lot of bad luck in virtual, and I personally believe it's because I think a lot of people play Turkey very poorly. And the biggest way, I wrote a whole article on this. Of course, it was only for patrons. So, but let me just give you the lowdown real quick on Turkey. If you're going to have a successful Turkey, um, you have to keep as many of your options open as possible. And moving anything but Ankara to the Black Sea means that you just really push your openings down. So Austria doesn't really want to see that. Italy doesn't want to see it. And so now you've put all your eggs in Russia's basket. So it's my opinion as Turkey that you should continue to bounce in the Black Sea forever until your path becomes clear. So there's my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That didn't happen.
it didn't happen. I mean, and frankly, I sold Melinda. I didn't just say agree to demilitarize. I sold her on AI. I, you know,
Yeah.
I,
That's Sullivan treatment.
yeah. I mean, and I want to talk about that. Okay, because this was a reaction to my first game. I really am beating myself up because I'm walking this fine line between trying to be an agreeable player and playing the way I know I can have success with. Maybe not long term, but short term success. But I told myself that, you know, I'm playing a tournament to win. I mean, that's why I play. Uh, uh, my general strategy on first rounds is to be in the mix.
Yeah.
I don't like to make a statement. I like to make a statement my second game. This one I had to make a statement, and so the dark side of me was going to come out. I was
Yeah.
I was fully committed to that. I told myself that's what I had to do, and it was a. So I'm going to do a lot of things I'm not like personally proud of, but as I felt like I had to do to try and maximize my score.
Right. And the hard part, like for you, is right because your like just overwhelming strength is making connections with people in this game, and 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 just hitting it off and people liking you. Like that's your your special power in this game. But you know the corollary of that is when you make your move to win, which you have to make at times, that can promote a really, really negative reaction, right? We hate getting stabbed by the people we love the most, you know?
Well, yeah, no, I mean that's why. Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, no, and I'm aware of that. So anyway, so I did this.
Go
Other
ahead.
notable things are I felt confident England was just going to put a fleet into Norway. I had talked to Germany. Uh, Germany. Uh, I basically, Germany was concerned that I might come towards Germany and then somehow ruin their chances of winning the tournament. And my point was like, look, I have zero intention of messing anytime soon with Germany, and so I won't mess with you if you let me into Sweden. And it was like, all right. Now, what Sabi told Austria was that if they smelled an air, then there was going to be a bounce. They did not tell me
Can I
that.
say something about
Okay.
that? So this is just another philosophy side, and I know this is just like how I think as a player. I think it's very, very poor for. I don't think it's a very good tactic to come to somebody with them thinking that you don't trust them. I don't think it's helpful, and I don't think you get them to do what you want. Even if you don't trust a person, I think just telling them I don't trust you, like especially in spring 1901, and I think it's one thing like if it's like 5 years down the road and they've lied to you multiple times, that you say, hey, I need to see some real concrete proof. But to come to someone and like say, hey, I think you're going to attack me. I think you're going to do this in spring 1901. It's a huge turnoff, and I personally if someone comes and says that to me, my first way I look at it is I don't think I'm going to be able to work with this person long term, even if I want to, because I'm going to have to spend half my game trying to get them to just see that a move set for them is good. Like so I had a player one time do that, and I so I don't think that was a great opening for Germany to come to you. Like you want to start your conversations with optimism. Maybe that's the way I want to say it. You want to start
Yeah.
with
Well, I mean, yeah, they didn't say it that explicitly, but
okay,
but the I mean, I guess there was concern on Sabi's part, uh, but like in my head, right, there are the things you can say and you can't say in negotiations. And what I really wanted to say is, I want to solo this board. So eventually I will be coming after you, but the way I'm going to do that is to try and get Liam to turn on Italy and then me to turn on Liam. Right?
yeah,
That I don't want an heir to go bump up against the line. It is not in my interest as someone who has to solo to have a 6 power lockdown on the line.
mm,
Uh, but I felt like if I had hinted that, it wouldn't have been good. So, anyways, this all happens, and I'm feeling pretty good. Uh, I'm feeling like I know Turkey's moves even because I double down on my lies and deceptive techniques, and I have a great South, I think.
Oh man.
Uh, but then, kind of similar to the game that we covered for you in your game two, in which you also played Russia, except I didn't get into Sweden. I got bounced out of Sweden. I got Norwegian to Barents, and I got the army in Norway.
Even
So,
worse.
so it's not. I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my god, how am I gonna?
And Germany gets Holland and Belgium. Like that's like terrible for Russia.
Correct. Yeah. No. I mean, I know two armies and a fleet are gonna get. If there's two builds, it's gonna be two armies.
Hmm.
Like I know that. Uh, and
Oh, you don't think Germany's going to build a fleet here?
I think it's 100% on the Western Triple. I think they got six to be able to get Berlin and Munich armies. But
So they're saying you think France is in on the Western Triple and Germany.
yes, yeah.
Okay, interesting. I guess we'll see that because usually if you're going to do Western Triple in that way, the the army moves immediately to Spain and then it hits Portugal and the fleet goes into Spain. So
So
that you got tempo.
so hilariously, Russ, uh, I I knew I was only building one, but my brain wouldn't tell me that. So I build two into Backstabber at St. Petersburg and Warsaw. The Warsaw is an illegal build, so you can see I didn't quite get the army
It's kind
down
of
in
fun to know that you
Warsaw that
can.
I wanted.
So, so basically, you could order an army in every single one, and then Backstabber's going to take the guess on which one.
I don't know how they determine which, but I'm really happy it was Warsaw. I mean, it was St.
Yeah.
Petersburg. That would have been
Right.
devastating if it wasn't. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
so Turkey builds an army, right? So it's going to be. So now it's like, look, I don't have time to be able to dig Turkey out. I've
Hmm.
got two armies in Berlin and Munich. England builds an army just like England did in your game.
Hmm.
The fleet and barons.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm like King Fahad in the Gulf War One, telling America, I'm telling Austria, come into my lands, bring all the armies you can. you know,
Yeah.
so I basically go to England. I put a
Oh, so
bug
Sabi was
in.
getting three, not Sabi didn't get two. Sabi got three.
Yes, that's correct. Denmark, Holland, and Berlin.
Wow.
Uh,
That's not a great Russia position.
yeah, no, it's really bad. It's like really bad. Uh, I go to England and I'm just like, all right, dude, how's this gonna play out? You got a fleet in Brest. Like, why is that? Like I understand, but you're putting a lot of trust in France and a lot of trust in Germany. Is Germany telling you that they want Sweden? And the answer is yes. And I'm like, well, why can't
Oh
you have
no.
Sweden? Like, you need to have Sweden. Like, that's un-American, basically. Like, and I go, look, I'll vacate St. Petersburg, and I'll put you into Sweden. I'll
Yeah.
do both. Put a fleet into
Right.
St. Petersburg, take Sweden. I go, that's a really good deal.
Yeah. What more is he going to get anyway? Nothing.
And and he goes, I'll take it.
Right.
Meanwhile, I have to shift my armies up, but I want to keep the army in Armenia there. So here's what happens. Let's see if England took the deal. I vacated. He went in. Germany gets Sweden.
That's terrible. Why would you, of course France then moves and he's going to take what he can.
So
And by the way, bad tempo France. You don't make the move in spring 1902 with a fleet like that because you're not going to. It's better to wait because you're gonna. It's going to take you 2 years anyway. I don't know. It's not terrible, I guess. I mean, you've got other options. You're gonna be able to put fleets behind him, but yeah, this is just. I don't know why England's ever do it this way. It's just not. If St. Petersburg, to go to the north first is the way to lose and often games to lose momentum just to like either France or Germany. you're going to get hit from behind. It's too much commitments for too little games that you can't push.
So if you saw me in this position in '02, except for what France has done, I don't think you'd give me much life. Okay, because France and Germany are not at war, and I've invited
Yeah,
Austria into Galicia. I've
yeah,
lost St. Petersburg. I don't have a play on Sweden. Uh,
yeah.
it's not looking good.
No, no. Yours is it's up there with kind of where mine is, except you don't have a Turkey in the Black Sea. But I mean, it's as far as the North and the West. I mean, it's just as bad. And England is just I don't understand England's thoughts here. He's at 4, Germany's already at 6, and he doesn't guarantee Sweden. That doesn't make sense.
So I'm sitting
So
here.
the only odd issue there is I think you should have built Army Moscow so you could have supported back to St. Petersburg as an option.
Yeah, that's I'm probably too narrow-minded thinking about that, but I agree. Uh, but yeah, so
Okay.
here I am out. I mean, I'm way out of position. I mean, I'm in Finland and Bothia. I'm like, it's bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, Liam is just. I have such a good relationship with him. Not like like just on a personal level. We argue on the diplomacy stuff
So
occasionally,
and they've
but
done a
like,
traditional key, right? So they've done a key Lepenzo straight up.
yeah, correct. I mean, he's got a great
Interesting.
relationship with. Liam's sort of like laughing at me, right? I mean, because he's just
Yeah.
like looking at my predicament, going, "This is not good." And I tell him, I go, "Don't give up on me yet, buddy. I think I got a few tricks up my sleeve." Okay, I said, "Support me into Warsaw," um, as I knew
Right.
that would be a bounce. And he's like, "You're not covering Moscow?" And I'm like, "If that army goes down to Moscow, it doesn't matter." Like like
Yeah, going to Finland. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, going into Finland, I didn't quite process all that. And him going into St. Petersburg, that's terrible.
Yeah, no,
Oh
it's terrible.
man.
Yeah. I'm just like, look, I'm not here to protect Moscow. Okay, like if Moscow goes,
Uh,
I'm done.
this
Uh,
is such a bad defensive position. Oh man.
and so I go to England, basically with what you said before, and I talked to, and I'm like, I just asked him a bunch of questions, right? And I was like, well, where do you think you're going to be in 2 years? Like, where's your growth? You got Russia bearing down on you. You've convoyed. Remember, in your game, Tommy didn't make that second convoy from Edinburgh.
Right. Yeah, but that's because I saw the possibility and I told him you need to wait a year to do this. And that's what I said to him. I said, look, there's a year to go to play here. And I said, you don't have to do this right now. You're going to get builds. Make sure you don't get caught with, your pants down. And so, but a lot of that comes from just my French play and English play, knowing, those options.
So I was just like, look, dude, you got to convoy one army back. You're
Mm-hmm.
precarious in the north. Yeah, you're going to pick up St. Petersburg, but you can just have Sweden just as well, and take a dot away from Germany, who's at 7, to your
Mm-hmm.
soon to be 4. Which is because it's going to go down. I mean, like he's going to convoy to Wales. Uh, I really didn't have a great argument. I'm going to be honest with you here. I just had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
charm, and Sabi was working England too, big time, and it was kind of a gamble, right? On
I would
who
have loved to have both of those recorded and just be able to watch both of those and see, everything that was being said.
I'm kind of confident in my ability to persuade,
Yeah.
uh, and so I don't know what Sabi said, but all I can tell you is,
So he even leaves St. Petersburg to help you.
yeah, got him to leave St. Peter's. I told him he's going to need that other army there anyways, and he can convoy it to Clyde. Uh,
That's amazing.
so yeah, I got him Sweden, but he left St. Petersburg, and I got Austria to put me into Constantinople.
Wow.
So I'm feeling good.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, so for England here,
I don't think it
I
was his
don't
best play.
know because you've already got France attacking you.
He
Um,
needed to stay in St. Petersburg and build an army in
right.
Liverpool.
Yeah, you needed to get 2 builds off of that. And he could have got it, right? He could have
Yeah.
just sat there and pushed into Norway. And I think he'd be able to explain it to you also. He'd be able to say, look, man, you see what's happening. I need those builds. And at the end of the day, there's not a lot that you can really help him with. Yeah, he should have kept St. Petersburg
Oh,
and then tried to
100%.
cut a deal. Yeah,
I smooth talked him, but I
yeah,
would not have done this if I were him. I really can't remember what I said to make
yeah,
this persuasive. I think it was something about you're not going to get a convoy back in time, but I don't think he was thinking that wait, I can just build in Liverpool.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so I
That's
get to
amazing,
build, and now the German threat is going to be a little less because I get to build in Warsaw.
right? Yeah, yeah. That's this is now there's no real pathway that's going to, unless you want to just open yourself up to attack you. I mean, like the German against Russia attack is done. Which, by the way, I should say, diplomacy's been played for about 60 years, and overwhelmingly, the strategy, the analysis is that Germany should not attack Russia first. So
Right.
and we just saw, like, just in this tournament, like my game and then your game, it's happened to us both, and Germany got wiped out.
So due to
So
some bad
don't
guesses.
disrespect your elders. Don't disrespect your elders.
Well, yeah. The move I was deathly afraid of here was Denmark to Livonia. I figured I could counter it if I needed to. Luckily, that didn't
I
happen.
don't I don't I don't understand to be just holding here.
Sabi is worried, and they wanted to try and de-escalate, right? But at this
Yeah,
point,
this is
I'm
the
not interested in
de-escalation.
de-escalation. I'm talking with AI, and we're pushing on Turkey. I know I'm going to get at least one other build down there eventually.
I'll
Uh,
tell you this. I guess Sabis never played with Matt Sundstrom, but or if you didn't know Sundstrom, but if you knew anything about him, you would never move on Russia and leave your back open. I mean, Matt Sundstrom's going to take advantage of every opportunity. Once he's got it, and he's not going to give it up. I played that guy face to face, and I mean, we were in a I I got third by like zero point 0.2 points, and we played on 3 boards together. It was really low, and we played all the time. I have utmost respect for him as a player and a competitor. I would never open my back door to him ever.
England makes a horrible tactical error here. What was supposed to happen was Norway was supposed to go to Denmark and cut. All supports would be cut. Instead, he
Mm.
self bounces in Norway.
Oh, because he didn't hit Denmark, or
Yeah,
what was he supposed to hit? Denmark.
yeah, correct. And loses Sweden.
But
This
what
is
happens if? Yeah, because then he gets into Denmark, right? Yeah.
uh, yeah, correct. So
If Denmark's attacking Sweden, he's at least going to get into Denmark,
yeah,
right?
so
Mm-hmm.
it was an
Yeah, that
error.
hurts.
Uh, I told him, and then he changed it.
Yeah,
Uh, and I mean, I guess we had a miscommunication, but like I was very clear on what needed to happen.
right.
But meanwhile, right, like now we're chugging away at Sabi here up the line. I got Austria. I'm a little worried with that Italian unit there, but I think Liam, right, like knowing Liam, he's gonna like probably make a move sometime on Italy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so like
Oh man, don't make me go down that hole right there. That's my
so
first game with him ever, and that didn't happen.
well, Liam's always gonna make a move on someone just to make sure it's not you, right?
Great, great. Yeah,
And so, here we go. And now I'm really worried about the convoy into Livonia. So this is just called shoring up the lines time up there.
right.
Uh,
Yeah. This is
and
great. This is amazing. Like everything that has happened here. And there's a lot that I could say, about England's decisions. But I mean, it's great. I mean, this is amazing. This is very good.
so, yeah, especially when you looked at that spring '02, right? Like
Right.
things are looking bleak. Uh, Again, Turkey's a bit of an issue. Not much. We have to do this little move to get out. And here's a little bit of a downfall, right? Which is like we weren't sure. There was a very good chance Liam would lose Khan here, and I would gain it. So he asked for Romania as a swap, but I need to keep Liam on side no matter what. So I agree. But it turns out, she moved to Smyrna. It was a guess
Mm,
uh, as to what Turkey would do. So Liam goes up one, I go down one. And I just
Okay, can we?
yeah.
I'm sorry if it's all right, real quick. Can we go back three? I want to just look at how you were attacking Turkey. Can we go back maybe to
Oh
spring
yeah, it's a
19?
big pain.
Yeah,
I
spring
was
1903. Maybe there's something to talk about real fast there. Maybe like yeah, spring 1903. Let's see where your fleet is. So I think that was your issue, right? You move your fleet in first. Yeah.
yeah.
So your fleet became the attacker. That
We
was
did
the
not.
issue.
I mean, it depended on what was going to happen. We didn't know if she would go two to Armenia or two to Khan. I
Okay.
can't lose. I can't be in a situation where I go down one.
Yeah.
This seemed to be the better gamble at the time.
Yeah, it's the guaranteed.
So, but what that causes is a giant mess. That
Right.
means that we have to then get my fleet back, get my army
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You know, and again,
Yeah.
so here,
Yeah, you want the fleet in the Black Sea as you take Turkey. Like you got to get Ankara. So just real quick for those that are listening, you need to get an army into Ankara, fleet into the Black Sea, push Black Sea into Khan, and then push that army in Ankara back down to Smyrna and Turkey's Khan. That's the move set.
correct. Had I will point out to our listeners, had I not been attacked by England and Germany simultaneously, there would have been an army in Ankara in '02.
Right, right,
Yeah, it was just that I couldn't do that given the
right.
exigencies of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I disband Warsaw, and I'm really at the mercy of Liam right now. Okay, uh, and
Yeah.
because Liam doesn't have a lot of places to grow, Germany doesn't look that indefensible right now. Uh, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here. With I
Well,
coordinate the moves this way. We get
here's his
Munich.
problem. Yeah, here's Liam's problem right now. If he's going to make the move against you, he's put all these units up on Germany's line, and he doesn't have them really ready to deploy quickly. I mean, I guess he could, right? He could go to Ukraine. He could pull things back.
He could have taken
Yeah, I mean,
Warsaw. He could have taken War Sev, right? That would have crippled me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's some different ways to do that. As this is the spring we're in, right? I mean, I would probably in this scenario maybe I'd have to think it through, but I mean, obviously getting into Ukraine, moving stuff back, yeah, you could do some things. Yeah, it could be a tough spot.
So here, Sabi is very focused on your game, and they are concerned. They're looking at your center count, but it doesn't look. If you look, we're roughly analogous to your time. You're not looking good in the 04, 05 time range in your game, right? 04 is
Mm-hmm.
when you first start breathing. Um,
Yeah, it takes a little while.
so Sabi's looking here and saying, "All right, there's nothing I can do. Just don't attack me except for Munich. Burrow through Munich across the line. Do that." And we're like, "Okay." Uh, and Sabi was like, "Don't take Berlin," and I'm like, "I won't take Berlin," but I was going to tap Berlin to guarantee it. Uh,
So why is Sabi making this move?
I think Sabi wants to preserve their center count to be able to make a chance at the tournament victory over you.
And where are you going to go?
Yeah, I don't really.
If you don't if
I
you
don't
don't
think
take
Sabi.
Germany centers, what are you going to do?
To be in all honesty, I don't think Sabi ever thought that I was gonna try and win the tournament with a solo. So I think in Sabi's mind, I was just there to
Mm.
you know, as a pivot point between you and Sabi. And I told you this. I told Sabi this, which is, I don't. I really didn't want you to win, right? Like after what had happened, but I
Right,
wasn't actively
right,
working against Sabi. I'm just trying to maximize my gameplay, period.
yeah,
Because
right.
it's 1905. Okay, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's we're halfway through. If I've got a chance, I'm gonna take it.
More
Uh,
to the point, if I get eliminated, more to the point, if I get eliminated and you board top, that still means something. You know, if you get a bigger board top than I do and I get eliminated, that still means something.
yeah. So the game was in doubt, right? So
Yeah,
I'm not in a position in '05 to be kingmaker, nor
right.
nor is that a role I'm going to assume. I've been around enough with diplomacy to be like, I feel like I'm just gonna play my game. I'm not gonna metagame other boards.
It's not fun anyway. Like once what if that becomes a norm, it'll suck the soul out of the hobby. It really will. There's stuff like that has been happening. It happens at times. People will say, "Yeah, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that," but if that stuff becomes regular, it sucks the soul of the hobby. Nobody wants to play that way. Ideally, everybody wants to come to the board and say everyone's playing for their best possible score.
Look, there were draw votes at Whipping called "Make Ed Cry Yes or No" in the other game. That rubs me a little raw, to be honest with you, right?
Right.
Like that, like they were taking me into account in another game in a tournament. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm just trying to play I feel like that's the only way to play.
And you won a tournament though with other people doing that towards another player.
Right. Correct. Yeah, that was John Archibald. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't take advantage of it. That's going too far. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it.
Right. I know. Oh, I know. I mean, like every player is going to take advantage of the opportunities they have, but I'm just saying, like, so people act like this never happens, and it does happen. And I'm not, and it's part of the game. There's no way you can get rid of it. I'm just saying, like, if it ever became something widespread, nobody's going to want to play, because you got to play with, let me try to do my best. And I know sometimes you come to the game and you doing the best may mean you messing over somebody else in your game. And I'm not talking about going from 3 to 4 centers. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like giving things up to other people for no reason.
Yeah, and if Sabi's listening to this, I really like Sabi, but like you have to think, right? Because at Whipping, in that same game, the other game where they're having the Make Ed Cry draw votes, Sabi was playing France and I was playing Austria in that game, and Sabi kept telling me the whole time how much Sabi wanted France to win. Like, I didn't take that well, right? But on the other hand, Sabi had to play Sabi's game in that game. So, right. I didn't want to be a factor either way. I am not going to metagame across boards. I didn't hear, which created frustration at some point. But anyways, I take Berlin. And what I tell Sabi, now I didn't press in Scandinavia, because when you have like one of these little Eastern triple things going on, or Western triple, I don't see it work. I haven't seen a Western triple ever work, but the Eastern triple, you always have to have a rat on the other side of the board. Doesn't work. There's got to be a rat. And
you have to have an Ed. You have to have an Ed sitting in England or in Turkey or wherever it is. You have to have an Ed there. I know all about the rat. That's for sure. So
Sabi was going to be the rat, right? Because England essentially had outlived his usefulness, and Sabi was going to be pushing for. Now it's hard. I got to be real patient. It's 05, but that was the idea, which is, all right, Sabi, you're going to grow west. You can have all of England, but
I'm guessing this North Coast build coming.
Yeah. And we're just going to keep building. I mean, notice here I get Smyrna, but the big news on the board is Liam, which he did not tell me he was going to do.
Yeah, good.
I mean, it's kind of beautiful, isn't it?
Right. That's the only like kind of drawback a little bit with the Trieste grab is that, if you're going to make a big stab and take Trieste, a lot of times you're not able to really capitalize on all the builds you get because you're taking back a home center. And the other thing is you're also new to yourself on building fleets from Trieste. I get why people do it, and there's definitely reasons, and it's not a bad decision to give it a Trieste. It just kind of puts you up there sometimes.
So they were a little surprised by my build on DBN. I did build North Coast, which they like, but I didn't build in Warsaw. And my thinking, look, I know I'm looking at all those Austrian armies just like you were with Zach, but my thinking on this is there's no world that I can think of in which Austria does not immediately try and grab Italy with those armies.
Yeah. So why didn't you do Army Moscow, which is just like it was going to be better to build another fleet?
I'd rather see how the next turn's going to shake out and build another fleet.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting decision. It's not a bad one.
Yeah, no. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to be patient. Now, Liam's really jumped here, but I'm growing. I just got 2. I just got 2 without stabbing anyone. So,
Yeah, yeah. So here's an interesting question, right? So would it have been wise for Liam to just build one army and save and get 2 fleet builds? Because he needs fleets to really push this, right? And he needs to keep some stuff in the back pocket, or maybe he builds the 2 armies and he gets his fleet. He gets one this next year, grabs some stuff from you and builds the next one. But I don't know. I'm not. We don't have time for me to just sit down and look
yeah,
at
yeah,
that
yeah.
all. But that's just an
So,
option.
anyways, here we go, and it gets kind of boring here. We'll just kind of, I mean, what you're going to essentially see here is, a push, uh,
Right.
and essentially Liam and myself and Sabi
Well,
control control every move. Okay, that's being made here.
yeah.
I keep Constantinople. That
But
was the
why is Sabi doing this though? Like they obviously could just make an agreement with the other side. I mean, I don't know. I guess Sabi probably thought was I'll trust you to keep me alive more than Matt.
Yeah, I think.
Um,
I mean, the point I think with Matt was like Matt's a machine. He doesn't care about my tournament results. Maybe you will. But look here, I walk out of Norway. No, I'm being patient. And I
hmm.
would tell anyone in my position that's really hard to do. If you feel like you
Why?
need to solo, I think it's hard to be
Yeah.
patient.
Why didn't Matt convoy that army to Belgium?
I don't know. I didn't ask him. Uh,
That's weird. Probably because because he didn't want it there to be a retreat to London. Yeah, that's a smart play.
ah.
If,
Oh
if it was
yes.
a bouncer stuff, then
Yeah.
yeah, if it was
Yes.
a
Yes.
bouncer stuff, then he didn't want it to retreat. That's a move that a lot of people could have missed. That shows you how good of a player he is.
Now you see, I get 2 builds again. This time I build the
Mm-hmm.
fleet and I build the army. Now I'm like, I knew Liam was getting 2. I was going to be vulnerable. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
immune from stabbing, but I'm in like, look, I've got Bulgaria, got Romania in my sights.
Yeah,
Uh, I feel like Liam has got a lot of growth west, and so, we just sort of continue push. Right now,
yeah.
I'm in
If
Kiel.
if you're gonna make a solo push, you gotta like everything is gonna have to be right at the right spot, and not only when you get your builds, you're gonna have to get everything right to make that full push to take all of the heartland because you only have probably like 2 turns to make it happen.
Yeah, well, lesson learned. Ultimately, right, I wasn't patient enough. But even though I think I showed a lot of like everybody's telling me to stab, I'm not stabbing.
Yeah, there's nothing here long term to get.
Yeah,
You don't have it, and he's got a better opportunity in some ways to really push on you with all those armies and get everything in place than you do on him.
that's 100% correct, right?
Yeah,
So I think this is an error, by the way, of Liam. Uh, he's the one that wanted to bounce in Galicia. I think he should have been bouncing in Romania. Just I
yeah,
noticed this
yeah,
the whole
exactly.
I noticed this
Yeah,
the whole
exactly.
time, but I took his suggestion, right?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. I
now
know
meanwhile, yeah,
Romania is definitely um, the better one because you're trying to guard your center.
right.
But and the other problem is he's not left any defense back, right? Everything is so committed, so put over that there's just nothing. And it's not just so much not leaving the defense back. He doesn't have any options if he does want to try to go for a solo and win the entire
So Liam makes an error here that I think inures temporarily to my benefit. He really wanted Iona to go to Turnian. I was not going to do it. I told him I put Naples in, but he needed to support Naples with Adriatic. He didn't, so I got dislodged. I didn't care about the dislodge, right? Because you know
turn. Right,
that French fleet in Ionian is
right,
not going to be a threat to me. Um,
right.
and so I'm now in the Aegean. I'm in North Atlantic. Uh, Norwegian. Liam is pretty committed, and his armies are all on the boot there. So I'm feeling like, okay, starting to count dots at this point. All right. I'm starting to count to see, all right, what can I do? Where's it going to go?
Right.
And so, now I'm in Holland. Matt destroyed the French fleet. Sabine made me go back to St. Petersburg. I didn't want to do that, but I said,
I
okay.
I think the real problem right now, right, is that you've really kind of built too many fleets and you probably need more armies in place to really um, be able to mobilize everything for a stab on Austria, because anything else is almost just going to be a dot long term, because he's got so many units to throw back at you, and you don't have enough to hold the gains.
Right. No, I fully get that. But on the other hand, it's like I feel like I have to try.
Right.
You know, and Matt later came to me before I show it to you because it is a beautiful work of art that doesn't last. But before I did it, I mean, after I did it, Matt kind of went over the game with me tactically, which I was really appreciative of. And his point to me was, I think you could have had this solo if you waited till like 1911. He's like, you needed to totally kill off England. He goes, once you totally killed off England, you could have stabbed for.
Or do you mean Germany?
I could have stabbed Germany and Austria because here's
okay. Finish off England. Oh, is England still alive?
no. Sorry, Matt's France. France is telling me I could have stabbed everybody once I killed off his units in England.
Oh, I get what you're saying. His units in England. Okay.
His units.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I go for it. I'm sure this was the Russ Dennis. This won you the tournament. You won it anyways, but like I'm sure you're pretty happy to see this. I mean, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Actually, probably didn't matter.
Well,
but
the other issue was this. Like so when I saw that, my actual response was, this might give Austria a solo chance.
It might. Yeah, I was very worried about that. Now, I actually was naive enough to think that I knew, like, I wasn't dumb, right? Like, I knew. I mean, look, I'm putting an army in Galicia, right? I knew where the army was going to go, and I knew I was going to build. But I knew he could get everything back pretty quickly and not lose a lot. But my sincere hope was that Matt would get super greedy, and work with me a little bit. But Matt's too smart for that. Total misunderestimation of him.
I think there's some other options there too. You could have just started to maybe like pocket builds, keep them back and just be like telling Liam, I don't have any use for these. And then when you make the move, you drop like 3 armies, all the way down or something like that. And it's just like, sure, you got a stabber there too, but you've also put, if you maybe played it just right and you made some builds and maybe started to move them west, but then you dropped everything, got the stabs, dropped 3 more armies. Maybe you got the units to fight, but at this point,
I never even thought of that. Goff on the DB&I stream thought I should have built an army in St. Petersburg, and I think he's 100% right.
You don't need a fleet.
So that was a bad call. One of many. And here is, I'm not great at tactics anyways. I'm especially not under tactics when I know that ultimately I have too much to defend.
Okay, so you've got 4, so you needed 18. So yeah, so at least with what, on a basic level, what Sundrum's saying, just count them. Denmark, Sweden, Edinburgh, London, you make your move, and 18, you win.
I actually do this, and I'm just like, I sort of promptly realize it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
So I try and snag the board top. Liam doesn't want to do it, which I totally get, and nor should he have. And then the next couple of seasons, just kind of through it as sort of Liam getting back, me shoring up a line, and I'm trying to tell Matt, take Munich. Take Munich. He's not interested in Munich. I'm like, okay. So anyways, I'm breaking Sabi's heart at this point because whatever I'm losing to Liam, I'm picking up here. Now, here was a bad call, right? I could have had Budapest. I thought he would cover. I just played it wrong. They said I was too conservative on DB. I mean, they're totally right.
Well, the thing that's interesting there, right, is that, especially if you get a unit just kind of down there in the heartland messing around like that kind of throws him off too of mobilizing.
Yeah. No, that was just it's hard to tell you unless you're under the pressure of this. Like I play a lot of speedboat, but like I felt the pressure, right? And
Yeah.
it's good to go through it once, so you know you
Right.
don't have to have this problem again. You can figure out. It's not going to make me like less willing to do something crazy. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I had to try and do something, right? I think
Well, here's
Matt was
the
right.
other issue too, right? Liam's created this opportunity for you because he's loading up all these armies, and he's not going to get anything from France's Iberia, right? I mean, that's locked. So he's opened up all his centers, and he didn't have to. He had tons of reasons to keep some units back. So he kind of created the opportunity for you anyway. And so, maybe continuing, like Sundrum was saying, continuing to just play and grind up and then make your move all at once would have got you that solo. And then I would have been the one
Yeah. So yeah, no. I mean, oddly enough, it took a lot of patience that ultimately I lost. Now, so uh, at the it's not looking good here. But Matt, at this point, I go to Matt and I'm like, he's got a legit solo threat, okay, on the board, like legit. And Matt was like, okay. He goes, I just want Belgium first. He's like, you just take Denmark, I'll take Belgium. You lose two, maybe three if you
gone.
play it bad. Uh, and I'm like, but we'll stop the solo. So I'm pretty sure I have Matt on side at this point because that's kind of what happens.
Right.
We disband the fleet intentionally in Clyde. I got Matt working for my take back Berlin. I prioritize Aegean over Smyrna. I don't really care at that point. Everything's bad for me. It's my thing isn't working, but I'm not dying super slowly. Liam doesn't want to end it right away, but here's sort of where things turn, right? Which is like I got Matt into Munich, I got Berlin back, I got Denmark, and I convinced Matt not to take Holland. I even told him I was going to cover Kiel and asked him not to take Holland just so we could stop the solo threat. And so that's where it was. And we're at 12, 12, 10 at this point. And I'm like, well, I propose a draw. And Liam's like, well, I'm not in favor of a draw. And I'm like, well, it's a really easy proposition, Liam, which is I can throw dots faster to Matt than you can get off of me. So what would you like to do? And he thought about it and he looked at the map and he said, I think I'll draw. So, like on DBN, they were like, I think Liam gave Ed a gift by agreeing to a draw here. I don't think he had a choice.
Yeah. It's like a game we played, right? That where Katie Gray, like we were kind of bottled up a little bit and we wanted to do a 3-way draw with
Right.
Katie, and Katie was like, well, I don't have to make a deal with you guys. I'll just keep drawing. And so my thought was, at this moment, if we don't make the draw happening, then you'll probably cannibalize me anyway. And so I just said, well, and first of all, I don't think I would ever do this again. But I
Thank
put that
God you
out
made the
there.
threat in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that game, I just said, hey, you know what? That's fine. Then I'll make sure that you don't top. And at that point, I think I was even bigger than you, maybe. But it wasn't the position wasn't as good. And so then I gave you centers. I'm not particularly proud of it, but followed through. If people realize you'll follow through, that's what happened here. Now this is definitely an interesting position. I
Well,
guess
oddly enough, it's basically the position we would have probably ended up in anyways, had I not
yeah.
stabbed, right? But I got a little measure of self satisfaction for trying to go for it.
Yeah. It's definitely, as he continues to get more builds, Liam definitely is not going to get a solo off of this. That's the
Right.
big thing. Like Liam's not going to solo, because as Austria to solo, he needs everything and Munich or Berlin. He needs St. Pete. He's not going to ever get St. Petersburg.
Right.
So, and he's not going to get Spain or Marseille. So there's no solo chance for Austria, 100%. Now, here's the tricky part, right? France doesn't really have a solo chance either. They could legitimately do a 17-17 split and both of them feel comfortable with, maybe. Now France can push more fleets in the south, so maybe France can grab Tunis. But I think they could probably, if they played it right, do a 17-17 with perfect calmness and knowing that it's going to happen. Now, of course,
Correct,
if you throw it,
but
but
as
if you
they
throw
said
it to
on
France,
DBN,
right?
even if that had
Go ahead.
happened,
Yeah.
Liam would not have won the tournament.
Okay. That's yeah. I guess I don't know how 17-17 splits aren't probably that rewarded under Weasel scoring, right?
Correct. Yeah, no. So it was solo or bust for both Liam and myself. That was it.
Yeah. I first of all, I agree with that. 17-17 splits should not be highly rewarded, in my opinion.
Especially when you're the person that needs them to score low. But
If,
yeah,
if,
no.
if you if you believe what the creator of diplomacy, if you believe what he said, then those kind of results are not what the game is designed to do.
Yeah. So, well, diplomacy is a game beautiful in its flaws, I think, actually.
Right. Yeah.
But in any event, so that's my game, Russ. That's why you won the tournament, because I couldn't solo. Had I
It's
been more
nice. It's nice.
patient, maybe I could have done it.
It's nice to know that my win was all due to you. And
So the dark Ed can come out. I did it to Melinda. I tried to do it to Liam. I did. No one can
yeah,
say I didn't try and win. I tried to win.
no, you did for sure. And you came. And here's the thing: you came really, really close. Really close.
Yeah. So if you remember, Nicolas Sauge said, "It's only going for it and failing that makes you realize what you need to do the next time." So I hope that's right.
Yeah. No. You're 100% right. Like, you become better by trying to play better. And anybody can just play the game. And I mean, there's definitely ways to win tournaments that you didn't. I would say you didn't really make your win. It just kind of happened. Where you weren't really trying to win. It was like, well, nobody really kind of worked together. And sure, people can win that, but you become a better player. It's exactly what you're saying. You become a better player by really trying to win. And I think the higher levels you get, the people that get up there a lot, what you find is there's one general characteristic, and it's I want to try to go for it and do well, and there's a mutual respect there. Like, that's sure, even if what you're doing hurts me, the fact that you are trying to win this, I can respect that. And I think there's kind of a little bit of fraternity with that kind of mindset. And I think, again, sometimes we'll act, well, that diplomacy, not a game, but the game was designed for, really, I would say, those type of people. You have to come to the game with I'm going to leave this on the, and we're going to work together and try to figure out. But I mean, the author of diplomacy says in his rules, he said, a good game of diplomacy is that alliances are constantly shifting to stop somebody from winning. He said that's a perfect, if you got 7 players that really know the alliances are constantly shifting to stop someone from winning. And of course, eventually things happen, but it's not because people aren't trying to stop someone else beating them.
I guess he would have loved that longest game ever played.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Humboldt, thanks so much for going over my game 2. Congratulations again for winning the tournament, and thanks to Running Diplomacy Briefing. And anyone can go sign up at diplomacybriefing.com. Well, good night.
Good night.